last video we talked about we started this new unit and we talked about population, resource, and relation between them. And under that we studied underpopulation, overpopulation, and optimum population. And we also looked at the we also glanced at the graph, observed that of those relations. So now we are going to study Ackerman's population resource region. Ackerman divided Ernest Augustus Ackerman divided the whole world into five regions based on this relation between the population and resource. So let's start our new topic. Before we start discussing the regions of the world, first we should look what is a region. So region is any area or place having almost homogeneous character. Now what does homogeneous means? Homogeneous means similar or of one kind that the people living in these Aryan places have the same kind of homogeneous character. Now, this character could either be of single criteria or the multiple criteria. For example, like in India, there are many regions. Like there is the West Bengal where people speak West Bengali. Now, this criteria can be anything. It could be either language or religion or education, literacy rate, income, or anything. So if we look through the language scope in India, there are many regions. You can say in the south there are regions like the Marathi region where the people speak Marathi. Then there's Telugu. Then there's Tamil, and then in the east there is Bengali, and in mid there is in the northern part there is UP and Bihar part there is Hindi, Madhya Pradesh. So there are so many regions based on the language. So that is region. Region is any area or place having almost homogeneous character. That is the place we are designating as a region has the same situation, same character of that criteria on which we are classifying them into regions. Now, how regions help us? Now, regions help us in creating a difference between two places, so that we can use them to our advantage. For example, if I have to say that I want to talk to Bengali people, then it means that I'm referring to the West Bengal, and like there are so many reference we can use. Now, let's move on to the main part. Let's start with the region. So, Augustus Ernest Ackerman in 1970 attempted to classify the world into five major regions. So the whole world, he divided the whole world into five regions based on following criteria. The first criteria was the population, then it was the resources, and then it was the technology. In the last video, we discussed the relation between population and resources, but he also included technology. He Now you see technology is an important factor in the relation between population and resources. For example, if resources are available, but they are not accessible due to the tech, because we're lacking in technology. So advancement in technology can improve the relation. So you also included technology in the criteria. So upon these three criteria, he classified the whole world into five regions. Now let's look at the regions he actually classified. The first region is technology source region with low population and resource ratio. That is the technology source means the technology present is here adequate, latest, modern, and the ratio of population and resource is low. Now when this ratio will be low? So this ratio will be low when the population is lower than the resources available, means the resources available there are more and the population is lower in comparison to that. So the ratio is low. And the second one is the technology source region. Here also the technology is advanced and latest, but here the difference is that the ratio of population and resource is high. The ratio is high. And the third one is deficient region, means the first two were the technologically sourced region, but the third and fourth are the deficient, means the technology advancement is not that ahead. They are lacking, they are behind in the technological part. And they're the similarly the classification will be same, like in deficient region. Two cases will be there, like low population ratio, low ratio, and then there is the high population resource ratio. Now let's see, the last one is the uninhabited region with few food crop resources. If you see in the North Pole and South Pole, there are uninhabited region and there are few food crop resources. So that he also considered them. He also classified them into the fifth type. Now, what happened was that the Ackerman gave this paper, this thesis classification in 1970, but before it could be accepted, he died in 1972, I think. He died, and after his death, his friend, whose name was the Peter Augustus, renamed the names given by the Ackerman. For the first one, he gave the name US type, and for the second one, European type, and third one, Brazilian, and the fourth one, Egyptian type or Chinese type. The last one, he gave the name Arctic or Polar type. So these were the names given by his friend Peter Augustus after the death of Ackerman. So this was an overview of the whole things we are going to study now. Now we will see each one, US type, European type, each type one by one. So let's move on. The first one is the US type. In the US type, as I said, in US type, advanced technology is there. The technology is very latest, modern, futuristic, and new inventions are also very in high in number in this type. And in comparison to other regions, the population size is also low in this type, and resources reserves and the resources available are also high. So these are very favorable conditions, and due to these conditions, the standard of life in this type, US type, is very high than the other regions. You can see that from the socioeconomic condition, the literacy rate is high, income is high, life expectancy is high. Like they are so standard of life are very high in these regions. So these were the four characteristics. What were the advanced technology? Technology is very high, latest, futuristic, and the low population size and resources. For example, in USA, there are many oil reserves, and USA is not using them. He is using the resources of other countries by exporting or by any means. So he's kind of saving. He's saving his own reserve for the future. So so the resources are available there, and socioeconomic conditions are also good. The infrastructure, the technology development, and other things. Now, if you look at the examples in North America, there is Canada, then there is USA. Both comes under the US type. In the South America, there is Argentina, which comes under the US type, and then there is Australia and New Zealand of the Oceania continent. They are also of US type, and the Russia, especially the Central Russia and Eastern Russia, they also comes under the US type. So this was the whole US type. Now let's move on to the next type, European type. Now what happen in European type? Also the technology is latest technological innovations are there, and the population is is less, but more than the US type. The population is more than the US type. So and the third part, the resources are also available there, but less US type, but less than the US type. So resources. So the first three things: the latest technology, innovations, more population than US type, resources in good amount but less than US type. It's N. Now, if you look at the socio-economic conditions, they are also good in this type, their high literacy rate, more income, life expectancy between 70 to 80. So that's considered as a good expectancy. So from what way, so what we can actually deduce from these socioeconomic conditions, we can deduce that the literacy rate is high, means that the education system is very good, education policy, there are schools, more and more children have the opportunity to study. From more income, that there are less unemployment, more employment opportunities, things like that. And the life expectancy means the health, the things related to the health and the nature, their natural resources, and the pollution. We can reduce all these kind of things from the socioeconomic condition. Now, if you see at the European type, now, this we will see later. First, let's say like the example. The most of the Europe, like UK, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, and the other part, the most of the Europe come in the European type. And from Asia, Japan and Israel comes under this European type. Now you see these countries like the Europe countries, they are very limited territory. So since their territory is so this the European type, the like the most of the Europe is very congested, means that they have very limited territory. So the disadvantage of limited territory is that you will also have limited natural resources, and due to that we cannot exploit them. We cannot use them to increase the standard of our life. So we have to look for the other ways. And the European type, the more they are engaged in the Euro industries and tech, and their prosperity is through the global trade. Let's see the map here. You can see, as you can see, this is the Europe. The most of the Europe that comes under the UK and France, Germany, Italy, Spain, all are which comes under the European type, and you can see they are very congested here, and this and this, and these territories are also very small. They are not, if you compare them to the Asia or the USA and Canada, they are very small in size, and hence the natural resources available in these are very limited, and hence they have to do the global trade and industry. So you can see from this. Now, the countries in Asia which comes under the US type, one is the Japan, which is at the eastern part of this map. You can see here is Japan, and then there is Israel, which is here. So both these countries also comes under this European type. So we discussed the two types in this video, and the next two types we will discuss in the next video. This I take my leave. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.